Welcome to Tuesday Training 2.0. Man, we are here. We had an unbelievable event in Winston-Salem. Unbelievable. If you weren't there, you need to be at the next one, September. Tickets are available. Bill Arender was off the charts. We had the most amazing A.L. Williams fundamental meeting you've ever seen. It is go time right now, and we're going to have a great show tonight. Looking forward to seeing you guys at the next one. Bill Arender was the first expansion RVP and moved his family because that's the only way you can get promoted. You got to move, and he moved 600, 800 miles. I don't know, I've been on 20. It's like 400 hours to go from Atlanta on Interstate 20 to Dallas. Moved to Dallas, moved his family. And, the commitment he made in those early days when it wasn't easy to make that commitment, he's a guy who's a treasure of everything we stand for. And I don't use these words lightly at all. We see Art every now and then, but he's here. He still talks to people. People still tell him no. No, you think that's bad. People tell Nick Saban no every year too. No, I think I'll go to Ole Miss. What? No, he knows, actively what we do. But he knows everything we did. He wrote a book called The Deception of the Corporate Dream. Rob, when he heard him, said, I'm quitting my job. He is, and I say not lightly, the heart and soul of A.L. Williams and Primerica. It is absolutely the greatest honor to have him kick off the new era, whatever the hell happened the last 16 months. I don't give a damn, and y'all can do the same thing. It doesn't matter what happened. Hakuna Matata, it's in the past. I'm telling you, coming out of it in this room right now, in this environment, and you got this dude in every single session who's going to bring it. I know he will. Help me welcome the heart and soul of A.L. Williams and Primerica, Bill Arender.
All right. Thank you. Listen, every time I come home, this is what my wife Carol does. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's such a joy to be involved in something so special in your life. Very few people have a chance to do something special with their life, or even care to do something special with their life, but they want to. And Andy is he is the most gracious person in Primerica, and they should give an award. I even mentioned this to somebody in the home office, to somebody like Andy, who is the godfather of a lot of hierarchies. He done me an override. And the company benefits from it. And so it's wonderful to be asked by Andy to do anything, but especially come back for the first one. And I don't know why I didn't know that. This is quite an honor and a privilege to be here with Peggy and Gurpreet. Wow. And so now it's your turn to make up your mind that you want a different kind of life. And it starts tonight. And it's not going to ever end. I started on a part-time basis like everyone else did. But my background is I'm from the inner city of Chicago, Illinois. Born and raised, my parents were factory workers. And we lived in an apartment until I was 10 years old. It's called a cold water flat. It means there's no hot water. If you wanted hot water, you had to put it on the stove. And every day, my mother gave me a sponge bath. My father showered at work. He was a factory worker. And we had a galvanized tub that she filled up with as much hot water as she could. Every Saturday night, my sister took a bath in it, then I took a bath in it, and then my mother took a bath in it. And if you don't have the desire to get out of something like that, See, that's an issue that most people are too pretty to want the life that we're offering. It's been too good for you. You lived a kind of a pretty good life. I like what Oprah Winfrey said, once you've been hungry, you can never be full. In your arrogance, you think you're too good for this. And I fought that too, and look where I came from. And so my salvation was television. Because I would watch television and see these other people with wonderful lives thinking, I didn't know it was a lie. There's beautiful places to live and all these pretty estates and the pretty grounds. They thought, if I'm going to live this life, that's the kind of life I want to live. And I'm going to live this kind of a life. But I fell into the trap that everyone does with education. I fell lockstep in with what they taught me and trained me to be, which is just like them. And so what did I do? Went to grade school, went to high school. There were 300 kids in my graduation class. I was number 150. My best friend was 151. Boy, I started realizing I was hanging around with the wrong crowd. And so I decided, what do I have to do? You have to go to college because that's what you're supposed to do. I flunked out within 2 months of college. And I went to work in the same factory that my dad worked in. And I was so embarrassed, but I just could not get myself to study. So I was there for about another year and a half and decided to go back to school, flunked out again. And I remember when I left the factory, I was making $2.35 an hour. And I left, and I said, I won't be back. And a man said, that's what they all say. And when I flunked out the second time, I came back. And to the man, they were disappointed because they said, we're hoping you'd be the one to get out of this. And once you get married and you have kids and you have bills, next thing you know, 20, 25 years goes by just like that. All of you are thinking, well, I got time. I'm telling you, lickety-split is still a concept. It's going to go just like that. So I went to night school. I was still working, making $2.35 an hour, and wanted a better life. And so I finally decided, I went to school, got serious about school, thinking that was my ticket out. And so I went to the first college that would take me. And so I thought, this is my life. Well, a year and a half later, I met this other woman, Carol. She had flunked out of college. And so we were thinking about getting married. I thought, if we have children, they're going to be idiots. So they flunked out, I flunked out. Well, we got 4 kids and they're not idiots. We got 9 grandkids, so it must have worked out wonderfully. And by the way, our youngest, I had when I was 46. Somehow, she couldn't keep her hands off me. That glint in her eye got to me. And he has been the treasure of our life. Having a late life child was just absolutely wonderful. And so I did all the things you're supposed to do. Like college, I went on interviews. There were 9 interviews I went on a college campus for a job. I got 1 job offer. And so I decided to take it. And so I went to work for a steel company in Pittsburgh. So Carol and I went to Pittsburgh from Illinois. And we lived there for several years. And about 2 months into my job there, I noticed that the big boys were going out to lunch with some of the trainees like me, and I wasn't invited. And I thought, well, how do I get to be invited? So I went there, and I asked one of the guys, how do I get invited to go with you guys to lunch? Well, where did you go to school? Does it make a difference? Yeah, because we go to the Harvard, Princeton, Yale Club for lunch. You see, even if you have a degree, I don't know why we buy this lie. And we give them hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loans. I'm telling you, you know how they talk about defunding the police? We had to defund student loans. The insanity of student loans are sticking it to people just to keep the professors in jobs. Whoa, that's kind of radical. Yeah, if you got a student loan, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of like buying a house you can never live in, but you got to pay for it. So I realized right then and there, 2 months later, that I did not have a future with corporate America. But what do? Thank God for me and Carol. they transferred us from Pittsburgh to Atlanta. God works in mysterious ways, they say. Stephen Jobs says, look at your life, all the dots connect, but you don't realize it till after the fact as you look back on your life. I was ordained to come to Atlanta, Georgia, and I was covering Georgia and South Carolina for the steel company. And I kept saying there's got to be more to life than this. Meanwhile, I was using credit cards and getting into debt to satisfy my eagerness to have some excitement in my life. And Carol and I were living in an apartment, and I kept thinking there's got to be more to life. There's got to be a better way. Do you ever say that? There's got to be a better way? Guess what? This is the better way you've been looking for. So I got this phone call from a woman named Virginia Carter. I knew her socially. By the way, that was about a $20 million phone call. That's how much money she made off that phone call. $20 million. And by the way, every one of you have somebody in your cell phone. If you called them, it would be worth $1 million to you if you called them. All the rest of you are probably saying, yeah, it's not worth $1 million to me to call all my friends, right? And so I met Virginia at a Denny's restaurant, and I'll never forget, I was on my way there. I'd already made up my mind that no matter what she said, I wasn't going to be interested. Isn't that something? And I owed the world about $17,000, which is like $40-some thousand today. My corporate job got me $40,000 into debt. We are insane. Baloney, she lets you have it. And so I was sitting there saying, you know how people are? They all go to the same school. They tilt their head like this. They close their eyes about halfway. Little smirk on their face, right? I was one of them. Finally, she said, you're not listening, are you? I said, well, Virginia, I'm pretty happy where I am. Money's not that important to me. You can tell I was $40,000 in debt. She said, Bill, I made $50,000 last year. If I can show you how to make that within 2 years, would you start listening? Well, my boss at the steel company wasn't making $50,000 a year. And so I decided, I got to do something. I don't remember what she said, but I finally said, I got to do something because doing nothing is not a good strategy. That's why people quit Primerica. What are you going to go do? Well, I don't know. Well, you're leaving Primerica to go do what? Nothing. That's not a strategy. But most people do, because why? Waiting for my opportunity to come along. This is the opportunity. This is the system God created you for. And I'm talking about that on Sunday morning. This is your purpose in life. This is why you were born. You just have to realize it and say, this is it? Yes, this is it. You wouldn't believe what happened my first month into business. Absolutely nothing. I was one of the guys that joined Primerica. It's like joining a health club and never going. Then wondering, how come I'm not skinny? I joined a health club. Then I had a trigger event that changed my life, and I hope you have one. Unless you become humiliated at some point in your life about money, you'll do nothing to change your life. And my moment came. I owed the world about $17,000. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I was washing my car. See anything wrong with that? Most people go, no, I don't see anything wrong with that. I was $17,000 in debt. What should I have been doing on a Saturday? Working to pay it like you've all got debt, right? Yeah. What did you do every night last week to get out of debt? There's no urgency to get out of debt. That's a way of life. You're saying, well, I got a lot of debt, but he's got more. As long as someone's worse off than you, you're okay. And if the government comes out with another stimulus program, I can really be benefited. My gosh, you're waiting for the government to do something? And you're in debt and you haven't done anything about it? Well, ask God. How much debt, God, do you want us to have? It's not going to be what you have. It's zero. Yet we go up. I'm a godly man. I go to church. I'm a Christian. Good. How much debt do you have? You're not obedient. You're disobedient. Who wants you to be in debt, God or the devil? Oh, so who are you listening to? So I was washing my car, I was kind of having a nice time of my life. Trigger event. My wife yelled down, Uncle Bill's on the phone. It was her uncle, and I owed him $4,000. When you owe a relative money, different. My knees got weak. And I went up there, I gave him the best excuse I could. The steel company didn't give a bonus. You know how those steel workers are, blah, blah, blah. You know what he said? It brought me to tears. You know what he said? I understand. Which means, what the heck is wrong with you? You're an adult. You're an adult. You're in debt and you're an adult. Like I was. You live in America, for gosh sakes. You're healthy, for gosh sakes. You're young, for gosh sakes. Use your ingenuity. And all I heard was, get out of debt now. I called Virginia up and said, I'm ready to get, I want to make some money. Not want to start a company, not want to have a legacy life moment. I wanted to make money. As you said, listen to me now, put me in front of 2 people a night, every night for the next 2 weeks. And that's what I did. We did 14 clients, and I recruited 3 people. And within 6 weeks, I paid my wife, uncle back $4,000. You should be out of debt, except for your home, within 6 to 12 months from tonight. And if you aren't, you've not decided to be, you become comfortable in your debt, and the enemy is winning. Because nothing will crush you more than debt in this world. That'll kill everything you got, and all this world wants you to do is get into more debt, like our government is doing. Loading up debt so our kids have to pay it off. Ain't that something? Nice people. Called about child abuse. So within 6 months, I paid off that $17,000. Here. Not working harder at the steel company, not waiting for the government to do something, not waiting for a pay raise, not having my wife get another job. I made $17,000, and by the way, when I paid my wife's uncle that $4,000, he called me up. He was so proud of me. I felt like a hero. I did it. Carol was proud of me. I realized I don't have to live my life like this anymore. It was what I was accepting that was causing all that. And I never felt good about myself. And so instead of putting money into debt, I was out of debt. I started putting money into mutual funds. Went full-time in the company.
Guys, when I still think about picking cotton in Georgia, I still think about, like my uncles and all, when we go over their house and looking through the floor, to see the chickens under the house. I don't ever want to forget that, because I don't ever want to forget from where I came. And so I am just thankful, like Andy Young is a weird, my pastor may get this because y'all got tapes and things going on. I have never, that whole freaking family, do y'all understand? I was telling Melba, I think that's when you and I were talking. Y'all give Melba and Jerry a hand. I love them so much. I moved down there, but I ain't know nobody, right? They had the audacity to call, and they were like, girl, I'm going to come by and see you. And they took the time to drive over to see me. You know what I'm saying? We fixed turkey burgers and salad and just made my day. I just love that, man, about the seriousness of Primerica and of people. But what Andy Young has done, and I think about those days, and I think about, I don't know who I was talking to the other day about, I have seen this before. Not as big as it is now, but Andrea, I have seen it before, but when I was in it before, Mary, I didn't know it. I was just having so much fun in it, right? And just being coachable, positive, and staying up. You know what I'm saying? Making sure that I show, but I didn't know what was going on. And I guess this time, because I'm seeing, like what it really is, I get freaking emotional, Andy, about people that don't realize that they got to get there and the speed and accuracy that they're going to have to get there. And it makes me nervous to know, because I just believe, April Rufus, I believe that we're at the point right now that this thing is going to explode like it's never had before. And that explosion is going to come from Winston-Salem. And I believe that with all this in me. And for Andy Young to open his doors for whoever come in to get the job done, right? And so I'm just so thankful. I had a degree. Do y'all know that? Do you realize, probably not around here, but there are people still going back to school to get a piece of paper? Ain't that crazy? Why they telling you right now? Listen, why they telling you right now, this up here in the Maryland area, maybe worse down here, around 53% of recent college graduates are unemployed. Ain't that something? Somebody talked about that today. Why they tell you that the guys that are lawyers, average income is $107,000 a year. Ain't that something? Physicians, $199,000. And people are still going to get educated. Ain't that crazy? People are going into jobs every freaking day. Not some of y'all in here, but some of y'all gonna make a decision that you say, when I leave here tonight, I want my freedom. You're going to say, I believe that God, Bill told me that God said we're supposed to have abundance, freedom, and dominion. And I don't think he intended for me to stay on the slave. Somebody got to be in the slave quarters. Ain't no doubt about that. You read your word. Some of them people that stayed in Egypt. You understand what I'm saying? But if he gave you eyes to see and ears to hear Primerica, you're not supposed to be in the slave quarters. You're supposed to be identifying something major so that you can take care of some people. And so you got to get up and say that. Don't cry to me. I just had a meeting earlier with my base shop. Probably gonna burn off the 2 or 3 of them that I had in there. You got me? Because here's the bottom line. You can't come in here and be no punk. You can't go to war and be no punk. You the one that have to work it in order to get it done. How you work it? Bill Arenda told you already, right? You got to go get 3. When? You ought to get 3 by the time you leave here. When you leaving here tomorrow, y'all got phones where you're talking a lot of BS. You understand what I'm saying? You better download that. Some of them people that's on that phone that you got, they need to be delete, because they ain't helping you. Don't tell me that you calling them mother, father, sister, brother. Don't tell me that you calling them that. You understand what I'm saying? That's emotional attachment. If you read in the oldest history book in the world, you'll find out that none of those titles exist in heaven. They're for earth so you can identify. You better start getting emotional about being broke. You better start hating poverty and understand that wealth is all right. You got to realize that where we at is not for average and ordinary people. But you got to realize that you ain't average and ordinary. I hear Art saying that, and we be saying we average and ordinary. You're not average and ordinary. If you was, God never would have pointed you in this direction. He pointed you here because he wants you to be the Joseph in your family. Nobody in my family have ever made $1 million. You understand what I'm saying? Go build a team, make some sales so you can free some people. That's what God intended for you to do. Stop being so selfish on your own. If you open up your hand and let some of it out, I promise you he'll put some more back in. You got to start believing in yourself. You're not believing in yourself because you're working on your external self so much. You working on, do I look right? I'm an 8. Y'all don't know I'm an 8. I don't give a damn if y'all don't know I'm an 8. I know, Mary, I know it. You understand what I'm saying? And so the bottom line is, but the bottom line is, you so busy fixing up the outside, but you ain't did nothing to the inside. You ain't spent no time with the maker. Somebody done told you, your husband, your wife, your mama, your daddy. Somebody done told you what they thought you ought to be. You done made a decision. You understand what I'm saying? About what career you need to take. You ain't checked with the maker at all. Father God is the only one that know the plan for you. For some of y'all that's new, you with me? We got a lot of illegitimate parents, but ain't no illegitimate babies. If that baby showed up, God got a plan for it. So you need to take that baby to the Word, right? After you take you to the Word, so that you'll be able to explain to them how valuable they are. Y'all don't understand for God to put us in a place such as this. It is time to get it on. I just don't want to leave here and not get it on. I'm not a millionaire until I get a millionaire. Chris and Tasha, you understand? I can't sleep knowing that. Sean and Makita, do y'all understand that? I got to be able to multiply that, right? Y'all, Go get it done, all right? I ain't gonna be able to shake it. No, I ain't gonna say that. I'm gonna be shaking it till I'm 100. But hold up. But I need y'all to go ahead on. Put some jewelry on. You with me? The real jewelry. And I got to get the freaking cocoa bag. Well, what Andy talking about is that ring that I hate. You with me? And the reason why I hated it ain't on my finger. And I said once I went over 1 million, I was going to be satisfied, good, and out. And damn it, they ain't wrote me back in. But I'm ready to go, y'all. Come on, let's go get it done. God bless you. I love you.
Hi, we're here at Winston-Salem, and I just want you to know you got to be in the room. You do not want to miss it.
So I think a lot of people didn't realize what they were missing until they got here. Don't you think?
SNSD Factory! You gotta be in the room. You gotta be here in order to win. Big things happen at big events.
It feels amazing after COVID to be here. It feels great.
Are you guys excited to be back here?
You live in America, for gosh sake. You're healthy, for gosh sake. You're young, for gosh sake.
It's my first time here. I'm excited because I've never seen this type of energy in any type of place.
We are at SNSD Factory!
People tired of the Zoom and all the other stuff that we've been doing. So right now to be here, it's exciting, to be around people.
And it's so refreshing to be back in the environment.
Well, we ain't tiptoeing, because for a lot of people in this room, it's go time. It's go time right now.
You can't come in here and be no punk.
It doesn't matter what side of the track. If you want it bad enough, you have a will inside of you, you have a great work ethic, and you have a major why. It can get done.
And I kept thinking, there's got to be more to life. There's got to be a better way. You ever say that? There's got to be a better way. Guess what? This is the better way.
You make up your mind tonight that not only are you an American, you're a proud Primerican.
You got to get borderline obsessed with recruiting.
We need 3 teammates. Get 3 teammates. Hey, they got 3 teammates. Man, you guys are fired up. We're going to be the #1 team in the state. They're now at, 3? I got 3. I was 9. And then we got 27.
But the bottom line is that you got to realize that freedom ain't free. You got to go to work if you want to be free.
We're going to do this fast or slow.
Phase 3 is going to be the gianthood of giantness, right? And how do we do this?
We're not gonna learn the things that we learn here anywhere else, not in school, nowhere. So it's really important to be here.
Primerica really just changed my life.
Keep our business, build our business, and get our businesses to the next level.
March 6th, 7th, and 8th of 2020, we walk out of a full room in Winston-Salem. And I'll be damned if we're not going to go back in there, whenever that is, whatever it costs. I'm going to walk back in that damn room. Here we are. Look at it.
It's important to be here so that you can get big, because once you get big, you'll be able to understand why you're going to run a successful business.
It's amazing.
Get big and go home.
We in the building.
All right, you guys, that's what we have for you tonight. I hope that you want to be in the room so bad you can't stand it. So go out there and be prepared, right? Know how many people you have in the room and start to move to the next level. So join us next week for Tuesday Training 2.0. We'll have a ton of fun and we'll be bringing you more clips and information. Andy and everybody that we have that's talking about building a huge business. See you next week.